Hello, my name is April Wortman, and this is who I am. Okay, let's get the show on the road. First up is conformity. Conformity is when someone or group of people change how they behave or their thought process to fit in with, say, another person or another group of people. In my personal life, I was fortunate enough to be raised by two amazing deaf parents. My mother is completely deaf and my father is hearing impaired. However, without his hearing aid, he is deaf. So growing up being a CODA, which is a child of a deaf adult, super cool, I know. But being a CODA and knowing sign language all my life kind of made me feel a little bit like an outsider, especially in elementary school when I was very impressionable and easily influenced by my peers who had hearing parents. I remember pushing that part of myself away and really wanting and being very eager to conform to my classmates, which now I obviously regret. However, it did lead me on a path that made me who I am today, and I'm very, very proud of my community and my background and the way I was raised and this amazing, beautiful language that I'm very comfortable with. Okay, so there are three different kinds of parenting styles within the realm of psychology. There's permissive, there's authoritative, and there's authoritarian. Permissive parents are one of two things. They either don't really care about what their child is doing at all, or they are involved in their child's life, but they don't really enforce a lot of strict rules or guidelines that would enforce healthy growing behavior. Authoritative parents are personally my favorite kind of parents because they might be strict, but they at least encourage a lot of communication between child and parent, which enables a lot more trust within that relationship. And lastly, we have the authoritarian parent, which is essentially the my way or the highway parent that has very strict rules and has a no budge policy and won't really communicate with their child and kind of find a way to find a healthy middle between parent and child. For me, again, I'm very lucky to say that my parents are definitely authoritative. Growing up, we've always had a very open, honest relationship with one another with my mom and dad, and they've always really wanted me to be honest with them, to communicate with them, and I think it's really led me to become a lot more confident in myself and confident in what I'm capable of doing. It allowed me to mature really quickly and be more prepared for the real world. Observational learning. Sorry. Observational learning is basically when people learn through observing and mimicking others. I have definitely become who I am through observing others, especially in the deaf community, particularly with facial expressions and hand motions. If you can't tell, I've been using my hands a lot, and that's because of the way I was raised. Growing up, I looked and watched other deaf people, and it's very important to be very expressive, especially with your face when signing to people, because it helps you understand more of what they're trying to tell you. And as a result of all this observing growing up, I have been told many times that I'm very expressive with my face and that I use my hands a lot in everyday conversation, even with those who are hearing. Social psychology is how we are influenced by other people and how we influence other people. Me and my best friends all influence each other a lot socially because we share a lot of the same values in terms of social justice and ensuring that everyone has the same opportunities. And I feel like being surrounded by them a lot kind of encourages our beliefs because they are so similar. So because of this, I influence them and they influence me in return. And I feel like this has impacted my life a lot because it has made me very socially conscious and socially aware, and I'm very eager to learn more about our society and where we're headed. Up next, we have stress. I'm gonna delete that, okay. Stress is a physical process we undergo when experiencing something challenging or intense or even threatening, and it is a physical thing that we experience. I remember my very first day of freshman year. I was horrified. I wouldn't make any friends. I was scared I wouldn't know where my classes were or that I wouldn't have anyone to talk to, and as a result of this, I remember feeling very, very stressed. I remember my heart was racing and I was super jittery and I felt like I couldn't focus at all. So that was a direct physical response to me feeling very anxious that first day of school, and I did end up being pushed into a trash can by my friend on accident. I think as a result of that first day, it led me to making new friends that I feel like I'll have for a really long time and developing really healthy relationships that made me more self-confident as a person. Nature versus nurture. The ongoing debate between psychologists as to whether or not nature or nurture affects who we become as people. Nature being our biology or nurture our environment. I've always been very lucky that I've been pretty good at math. My dad is excellent at math, so I think I got that from him. And this year, I've been doing very well in math because I have also been studying really hard and really applying myself to these concepts. So for my math grade, it is a mixture of both nature, my thankfully decent math skills, and nurture, my studying habits that have led me to get the grade I have now. Motivation is something that encourages someone to either pursue or do something. I am very intrinsically motivated to get a career and go to college and become independent and do something I really am passionate about. As of right now, I'm very interested in engineering, and it's something I'm very motivated to learn more about and take classes on to make me more prepared and see if it's something I'm actually interested in. Motivation in this scenario has definitely made me who I am in terms of loving math, loving science, and really just being excited about it. Memory is just proof that learning has persisted throughout time. Hate to brag again, but being fluent in sign language is something that I have always known. I have never not known sign language. It was my first language even before English. So for me, sign language is forever encoded into my long-term memory. It is something that I have learned that has persisted throughout my entire life, and it is something that I will never forget. My memory of sign language has definitely impacted who I am because sign language is not just a language, it is my entire identity, and it forever will influence who I am and who I will become. It is 2:55 p.m. on this some day of May. Jeez. Up being a coda, which is a kid of... No, that's not it? No? Okay. Just don't really... Social psychology. Yes, that's how you say it. It's my identity is my community and my background, and that makes no sense. Okay.